It's Jordan Mulligan from the Mulliganbrothers, and today's interview highlight is with Aubrey talking about clarification of desire. Today's video is sponsored by betterhelp.com, which is an online therapy that you can get with a link down below. Something I have been doing for over a year now, and I've had such a spiritual journey of this last year through online therapy that I could not recommend it enough. It's also sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com, where you can buy the Inspire Change t-shirts. But before that, let's find out what clarification of desire actually means from an extremely successful CEO, businessman, and spiritual leader.
When you're thinking about like what you really want, what your goals are, again, it goes back to the question of, well, why do you want that? Why do you really want that? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you want to achieve all of these goals? And really like be patient with that question and understand that all of the things are fine. Like we don't have to have shame about all of these things we're told to have shame. Do you want pleasure from this? Okay, great. Of course you want pleasure. Of course. Don't lie. Like, of course you want pleasure. And did I want pleasure? Fuck yeah, I did. I wanted pleasure. I wanted access to pleasure, pleasurable things, pleasurable experiences. Did I want power? Yeah, I did. I did. And for two reasons. One, my ego. My ego wanted power because I wanted to think I was better than other people. Of course it did. That's what the ego does. It only knows itself in comparison. But also, did I want the power for, instead of the power over, the power for helping other people? Did William Wallace want power? Yes, of course he did. Of course, for Scotland. You know, that's why he wanted, like, these things that have been shamed, they don't need to be shamed because they're true. And when we shame them, we put them in the shadows. So really looking at what you want and why, and being honest is really, really important. I wish I would have been able to do that a little bit more clearly then. And in the recent studies that I've been in, I've been studying deep in the Hebraic wisdom traditions, all the way from the Temple of Solomon, Rabbi Mordecai Leiner, all the way down to modern teachers. They call this the process of berur, B-E-R-U-R, berur, and it's the clarification of desire. It's understanding, what do you really want, and why do you want it, and who is the you that wants it, you know? And that's like, that I think is the key question that we aren't asking, and we aren't answering honestly. And I think that's also a big deal. We got to ask the question honestly, and we got to answer it honestly. Because we'll like to tell ourselves, oh, I just want to help people. I want to help my family. Yeah, and you want pleasure, you want power, you want purpose, you want, you know, there's a lot of other things you want. Like, be honest, it's okay. It's like, we're all the same, you know, we all feel that. And if you deny that, you're probably full of shit.
I mean, the word ambition at the moment is like, I would say, looked on negatively even. And a lot of people do look on it negatively. And I think, again, younger people, easily influenced, get the opinion from parents, friends, family, onlookers even, of that your ambition is almost like poisonous, like what you're wanting to achieve is almost like a bad thing. How would they, or how did you even deal with those kind of opinions from others?
Of course we have ambition. I mean, if we pretend that we don't have ambition, I think actually we're preventing ourselves from that potential failure. I think it's actually more about cowardice at that point. Like, we're afraid to confront our own fears of giving it everything we got. And that's what's causing us to say, oh no, ambition itself is bad. It's actually coming from a place of fear. But where there's the shadow of ambition, where ambition turns dark, is when the ambition supersedes your ethics. Right? Like, if your ambition is greater than your ethics, then you're willing to do anything to get what you want, right? And if you're willing to do anything to get what you want, then I think you haven't looked carefully at what you really want, which is to be loved, to love yourself. Like, because you will never get that if you sacrifice your ethics to get what you think you want. You won't get that. So for me, the ambition was always girded. There was always bumpers on the ambition by an understanding of there's only one way that I could ever actually meet my ambition, and it had to be honestly. So the way that I built ONNIT, I wanted to make sure that every single encounter and transaction, from a transaction with an employee. They're giving me time, I'm giving them money, but what else can I give to make sure that transaction is favorable, that the bank of reciprocity is even, and I will always err on the side of generosity. You know, if they're buying a product, well, they're giving us money, we're giving them a thing. I want to make sure that thing is worth the money they're giving. And if they ever feel like it's not, we actually revolutionized the industry for return policies. Instead of having to fill out some form and send back a receipt that you totally lost and like mail something in, they could just call us up and be like, hey, I didn't like it. I'm like, cool, what's your account number? We'll give you your money back. Like, we wanted to make sure that every different micro transaction we did was in integrity. And if every micro transaction is in integrity, then there's no bounds on where you end up going. And so it allows your ambition to be unbridled. But you have to have it bound by a sense of ethics, and the ethics are bound by a real clear introspection about your desires and what you really want.
I can really hear, like, when you're talking, the passion coming through of creating ONNIT, like, and the work that went into it. With that perspective now, like, what advice would you give to somebody starting their own company, their own brand, their own product? Like, what would you give them?
Love it. If you want to start a company, you better love what you're creating, you know, in a really significant way. Like, that's the most important thing. Like, if you are not the #1 fan of your product, you f***ed up. Because you got to make it. You made it. And if you don't make something that you love, then you made a mistake. You're trying to be clever. Don't try to be clever. Make the thing that you want the very most and that you're going to love the very most. And your passion for that is going to be felt and it's going to be shared by your audience. And that's like the most important thing I can tell somebody.
Again, with the idea of the product, some people, I guess, would buy into the idea of making more money, or the idea that making more money leads to them being eventually to be able to create the thing that they actually want. How do you get to the point where you're just deciding to do the thing you actually want to do, as opposed to chasing false narratives, or, you know, I mean, it's very easy to create a false narrative of this, I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z.
I mean, I actually admire the intelligence of somebody who's clever enough to create a product that they don't love and sell it. I've never been able to do that, you know, like, I mean, it's not my way, but I'm not going to judge it. If you can do that and you're clever enough to create something that you want nothing to do with, you know, if you're a vegan and you create some new barbecue grill or something like that, like, good for you, you know, like, I think that's awesome, but it's really hard. And at least it's hard for me. And again, maybe it's because I'm just not clever enough, you know, but for me, the thing that makes me intelligent is that I know myself. And if I know myself and I'm honest with myself and I love something, then I know that thing is lovable because at least I love it.
There you go. Aubrey Marcus on clarification of desire. For me, when I hear those words, clarification of desire, the idea of having a clear picture is just the start of absolutely everything. You cannot begin a journey or begin to work towards a goal without a clear idea of what that looks like, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Anyway, Aubrey Marcus has some great resources over on Instagram, so go follow him. Follow me on Instagram @Jordan Mulliganbrother. And also, thank you to our sponsors of the show today, betterhelp.com, where you can find professional online therapy using the link in the description, something I 100% recommend. All my therapy for the last year has been online, weekly, every single week, and I can't explain to how much that has transformed my life and who I am as a person. I 100% recommend it. It's a journey, it is a massive journey, but if it's something you want to embark on, there's a link down below to go look at that. Yeah, it was sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com. As always, with the Inspire Change t-shirts, link down below. Hit the comment, like, subscribe button for the algorithm to make sure people get to see this and share it with people. But more than anything, have a blessed and productive day. Go inspire some change, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.